You said the statement just a second ago, so much prejudice, and I wanted to find out what you were thinking about when you said that statement. It was kind of random, throwing out there.
What's that, all the discrimination, racism, though less of it is currently existing, there is still a lot of it. Black versus white, male versus female, kid versus adult. And so much inequality, so much misunderstanding. People think we need more food. Well, no, it's not like we need more food. We need people to not throw out all the food we do have.
Better distribution.
Better distribution. Yeah, so that the grocery store doesn't throw out their salad bar after 1 hour, even though it's completely full.
Yeah.
That food could have fed maybe 50 people.
My understanding is in France that they are starting to require restaurants and stores, grocery stores.
Well, France is doing everything great, and so is Switzerland, so
I
don't know.
I haven't heard anything about Switzerland.
Which is why in Transform I always wave the France flag.
I don't know anything about Switzerland. Except that's where people store their money. Offshore accounts.
Oh, right, of course.
Apparently Swiss banks are supposed to be really great, I don't know. In the movies and the TV shows, they always do that.
Yeah. Everyone stores some offshore bank if they're a criminal.
Huh?
Everyone stores their money at some offshore bank. ...
Are you being facetious?
No, in all the movies, all the criminals.
In the movies, right.
All the cop shows, all the criminals in the cop shows, they always store all their stash of money at some offshore vault of some sort.
Well, they do that so that they don't get caught and stuff.
Right. Thunder, boom.
I think if we were wealthy enough, I would probably... Oh, no, you know why? Because, so the wealthy people also do it, as I understand. And I've heard that the reason why is because the taxes, so they don't want to get their money taxed.
And tax less?
Yes, or something like that. I don't
guess.
know. So I suppose if we were really wealthy, we'd probably keep a little bit... You know, and it's also a diversity thing. You don't put all your eggs in one basket. The whole idea of that, you know, let's say the American government went under, but the Swiss bank stayed fine. You know, it's the being able to know that your money is
Swiss who's always neutral, supposedly? They're supposed to be always neutral.
Right, and that's, I think, one of the reasons why the Swiss bank's also supposed to be really good or something like that.
After all, it's just fly Swiss Army knives, the greatest thing in the world.
But it's also why other countries or other corporations and stuff will invest in some of our property and money, in short, because they want, even if they don't use it and even if they don't live there, they are diversifying their savings and stuff, investments. But yes, you were talking about so much inequality. Speaking of money inequality.
Yeah. So much, inequality and prejudice.
But what I was trying to find out is what triggered that thought. You just sort of spontaneously said it out loud, and I was thinking you must have been thinking something when you said it.
Just not liking the general ganginess, if that's a word, of the world. The people just like to gang up on all the trolls and people who gang up on our people. They try to hurt them for their own selfish needs. Or not even their own selfish needs, for their own selfish, whatever, reasons.
So you were thinking of a video game scenario?
No. Real life.
Like, give me an example of what popped up in your head.
All the bullying that goes on.
Give an example. You're still speaking generalities.
Yeah, I'm speaking generalities, I'm not thinking of an exact example.
So there was not a specific... there must have been some specific example that popped into your head for that thought to come around. Something that triggered the thought. A catalyst for the thought.
There's sweetie, I want to be better than that. I don't know exactly how. First thought popped in my head, but you right there, kitty? You get your claws stuck in the bed?
I was thinking something similar to that last night. I was remembering the pain of not that Daddy. It wasn't that Daddy left. Like if he had died, or if he had left on peaceful terms, then it would have been fine. Like if he had left but still in a loving state where he was like, dude, you know, I still love you, I still care about you, I still want you safe, but I need to go off and explore the world, and I want to be able to have the freedom of dating people, but I just still really care about you, and I still want to make sure you're taken care of too when I go do this. If he had been like that, you know, either if he had died or if he had been just incredibly thinking that I was still an incredibly awesome person, he just wanted to go explore, but had kept that caring, admiring, that he'd always done the whole 20 years. But the fact that he turned around and suddenly judged me to be something awful, or he'd taken one of my traits and said, this particular trait is horrifying, and you are, somebody says it's not, somebody told me it's not normal, and I can't be with a not normal person, and I need normal, and I judge you to be so awful for not being normal that you're not allowed to have any caring, you're not allowed to have any, you don't deserve for me to give you any affection or a hug, or you don't deserve for me to care about you, and you guys can't have any money because I don't want to ever help you again. I don't want to ever help you because you don't deserve it, because you're not normal. So that judgment, that to me was what really pissed me off. The saying, that whole idea that people do of judging somebody else, of there's this famous saying in the Bible that I always hear that I love, which is, don't cast the first stone unless you yourself are without sin. But it's, people say, oh, they're horrible, or they say, they put down somebody else's mistake or sin or whatever, and they judge them to be so awful. And in a way, we sometimes occasionally do that with Daddy, but I try to counter that with the compassion for whatever he must have been feeling, and have empathy. And that's the reason why I'm always stressing empathy, and that's the reason why we're making this podcast, because I want to stress helping you and anyone else and myself learn empathy and compassion. But where I was going with all this is that I was remembering the pain of judgment, of how much it wasn't the pain that he left, it was the pain that he judged me not deserving of love, and not deserving of caring, and not deserving of just simple reassurance, or I guess reassurance is no longer simple. It's, people have difficulty with reassurance. It's probably one of the hardest things for people to do is reassure. But the simple, just saying to another person, you're still okay. It's not you. You're still awesome. It's not you. It's saying you don't deserve love. That just, I don't want to ever say that to anyone. I don't want to ever judge anyone and say you don't deserve love. Now, I find it ironic that I'm telling you about this, because you have occasionally said this about Daddy, that you didn't think he deserved my, like, why do I love him still? Why do you care about him? He doesn't deserve it because he broke our hearts, and he abandoned us, and he betrayed you, and all that stuff. And so sometimes you are also confused. Why would I think that he does deserve it? And it's that whole, I know how awful it feels to have someone say that, and it's not like you've done things too where you felt so angry. You're just the way you feel about him. you felt it. It's the same feeling he felt about us. For some reason, even though it wasn't necessarily our fault, he blames us for how he's feeling, whereas you blame him for how you're feeling. So he's really just feeling the exact same way about us that you're feeling about him, for different reasons, one assumes. But it's the whole idea that you think that you deserve to be loved still. Well, he deserves to be loved still, too. I deserve to be loved still. Everybody deserves to be loved still, no matter how angry and upset they got and whatever they did. And I know everyone disagrees with me, because they're going to say, well, what about Hitler? What about rapists? What about these evil monsters who... And that defining them as an evil monster, all that labeling is just a way of distancing yourself from them. All that stereotypes, all that racism, all that that inequality.
And I guess, yeah, that's exactly what I don't like. I don't like all the hate.
Right.
And, like, yeah.
And what that hate comes from, Eagle, is judging and labeling.
I thought the labels and judgment come from the hate itself. Or the other way around.
Maybe it's a circle and a cycle that maybe it stemmed from the hate, and then the hate, in order to not feel the hate so intensely, or maybe to give you an excuse to feel the hate, you came up with the labels, or people come up with the labels, or give themselves a reason for hating, or justifying their feelings, when really what they should do to justify their feelings is look at the needs that they haven't got met, communicate the needs they're not getting met, and make requests in a polite, loving way. And so if they were to learn communication skills to try to get their needs met, maybe there would be less hatred if they understood their own needs better. And that's one of the reasons why I want to create these posts, to help people learn about their needs, to help learn about listening to themselves. To ask yourself, why are you making that label? Why are you, whenever you are labeling somebody, whenever you are judging somebody, whenever you are thinking that race, or... Because do you notice you do that, Eagle? You do that. Where, not with races, and not with sex, and not with age. Well, but with age you do. You're almost... Do you ever notice that you're almost as... I guess it's not racist, it's ageist. You are almost as ageist as the people that you complain about. You say the stereotypical adult thinks that the stereotypical kid is not able to handle everything.
Okay.
So you dump adults into that stereotype.
No, I'm happy to use the stereotype for others to understand, and for me to more easily express what I'm saying. But I don't actually believe in a stereotype. I mean, I happen to be understanding that others believe in a stereotype, unfortunately, though. And so in order to communicate to them, easily anyways, I need to use their stereotypes and their terminology so that I can communicate to them.
I wonder if that's how stereotypes came. I wonder if that's how racism came to be, was that people found it easier.
But no, I find it easier because the majority of the population happens to think that way. So when they first came to be, how did that possibly be?
Well, maybe they assumed the other person they were talking to would understand it. There is a sense of ease to stereotypically dump people into a category.
Okay, but the categories not have to completely apply in all situations. I mean,
that's true, but it started with just communicating to one person.
Let's look at how racism started.
Okay.
From my
perspective,
from what I've gathered of how racism started, some people don't like that other people don't believe them in their God.
So you think it started with religion?
Yeah.
Like the Crusaders and
well,
even before that.
For racism,
yeah.
some English people believe in Christianity and its God, and set out to go explore the world and do what humans do best, which is to go explore the world.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what they did. They went to some place that they called Africa. Or even natives called Africa. I don't know. Somebody called it Africa. Eventually it started getting called Africa everywhere. Mm-hmm. And they found the people there. They didn't quite seem to be at the same knowledge level that the new arrivals were at. And definitely didn't believe in the same God.
By the way, these historical bits that you're telling us, do you know what sources you picked this up from, or you just generically put it together?
It's a crash course, a bit more generically put together, yeah. Okay. But of course, technically, all these accounts are, to some extent, biased. Most accounts in history are, to some extent, biased. Mm-hmm. Many are completely biased. Some are less biased, but still,
So,
to an extent,
so
biased.
You're admitting that your perspective would be biased.
Is accidentally biased, yes.
Okay.
I believe it is slightly more centered than some perspectives.
Uh-huh.
Right? The historians that were stuck on explorer ships, like the one that was stuck on Cook's ship, Captain Cook's ship, in his journey to, I think it was Hawaii, the explorer actually decided to team, the historian actually teamed with, did not create a biased report. Mm-hmm. They're trained to not be biased, I believe. And actually sided with the natives, and so made, or I don't remember if it was Cook's ship or some other ship. There was some expedition to Hawaii, and I think it was one of Cook's voyages. And the historian made it from the perspective of the natives. Still fairly centerline, but expressing the cruelty of the I guess settlers, they could be called, i.e. people from Cook's ship. So historians are supposedly trained to be slightly less biased, though,
They still are.
Yes.
Guaranteed.
Still are guaranteed, even though, no matter how much they are, even a computer, especially a computer actually, if anything, depending on who they're programmed by, is always biased, and at least in the smallest amount. Biased by their own experiences.
Before you do your next statement, I want to check on your body language, and I want you to lean back against here so that your chest is a little bit more opened up, and you're not so leaning over. So how about you lean back against here? That way you can relax. Okay.
So,
listener two, check your body language.
So, some English people come on with a few boats and come over to someplace they call Africa. Science people that don't quite exactly use what they use for tools and don't necessarily do everything the way they think it should be done. Don't believe in the gods they think people should believe in. Yeah, should is always in quotes. Mm-hmm. And then they start taking the people. Okay, I'm obviously oversimplifying this a lot. Start taking some people from there. And take people from there. Hey, I noticed that you don't like the other group of people. Maybe if you hand me some of your own people, I'll give you some of these fancy tools. You can use to blow up some more people. Yeah. Don't ever buy into that argument, because it always ends up badly.
Because they gave him tools?
No.
What?
Do you not realize what was happening? The natives didn't either.
I guess I got lost. I'm sorry.
English people say, hey, if you lend me some of your workers, lend me some of your workers, lend me in quotes, obviously, then I'll give you some fancy tools that blow stuff up. Because I noticed that you don't like the other people, their group of people.
So you're saying that the English came in and helped with the wars?
Yeah. and in return got slaves.
I did not know that that was how it was.
Yep, and then they got slaves, and they
Really,
decided to become
that's
racist.
what you heard. That's
Yes.
how it was.
This is all I've gathered from a few TED videos and a few Crash Course videos.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, I did not. I knew that there was when they went there. And what I understood is they went there and they captured people and then turned them into slaves.
Well,
Or they were trying to convert them.
Yeah, they tried to convert them. Everywhere, with Native Americans, they would try to convert them.
And then I don't remember their excuse of why they would take them as slaves, though. So you're
Because
telling me
they obviously weren't good enough, even though actually, if anything, they.
See, I always thought they captured them. I didn't realize that they borrowed.
Well, for Native Americans, yes, they would capture them. Though most Native Americans happen to die out because of disease, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Or just, quote-unquote, mishaps.
Mm-hmm.
I.e. some idiots went on a killing spree.
Mm.
Yeah. Like the guy who's everywhere, who used to be great, but, for that part definitely isn't, Andrew Jackson. Yeah.
I don't know the story behind that.
He's a conspiracist who, conspired with a bunch of other people to go kill a bunch of Native Americans.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. So... the, Native Americans would get, the people would... Actually, it's interesting is, so, from what I gathered from Crash Course, the settlers would think that, the Native Americans don't do agriculture, and so they must be primitive and not up to quote-unquote standards, or whatever. So we should enslave them to help them somehow. Yeah, they had a pretty twisted idea of helping people. And...
I feel like you've lost your train of thought.
Yeah. So, what you don't actually quite realize is that, history is unfortunately kind of corrupt this, like usual. Because historians are, well, biased. Usually, the reason, from what I've gathered, according to one Crash Course episode, the way Thanksgiving was originally invented was, I think it was some, Quaker settlers, were helped by some Native Americans through a winter, that first winter, and they were running low on food. The Native Americans helped them, something that they would later probably regret. Luckily, Quakers are much nicer than the rest of the settlers, and so, made a holiday out of it, and called it Thanksgiving. And that's why we have Thanksgiving.
My understanding of Thanksgiving was that it was they didn't have enough food to eat, and the Indians helped them find some food to eat. Right.
Now, technically, to an extent, this happened all around, more with the Quakers, because, they're nice, and nice people get nice things in return. Unfortunately, most of the other settlers didn't quite get the idea of, hey, wait, they're helping us. We don't know how to survive this place. They do actually have agriculture, and instead just decided to kill them all because, they're a little corrupted. Oh, okay, that's understatement, isn't it?
So let's bring this back to our original conversation.
Well, I don't like all the things, going back to the original conversations, I don't like all the things that happened, Native Americans, all the things that happened to, well, all the underdogs.
Mm.
All the things that happened to women, or newcomers in schools, or stuff like
instead
that.
of bringing it back to the original conversation, do you remember how you got on that tangent about telling me about the,
how racism started?
No.
How
you were telling me about the history of people.
Racism.
Is that what you were telling me about? Oh,
Yes.
That's how racism
One of the
got started.
first major appearances of, European racism, anyways.
Well, no, I think it probably stemmed even before that, because even...
As I said, first major appearances.
Well, no, and I'm saying I think there were other appearances even before. If you go back into historical
What, the fact that Romans
weren't
called...
the Crusades all the way back before? That was
Yeah,
long
but
time
they were
before
not
that.
racism, exactly.
Yes, Crusade is extreme racism. It's
No,
these
it's
religious
just...
people coming in and saying, you have to believe, and if you don't believe, I'm going to literally wipe you out.
Okay, well, they really did a very bad job of that, because they are the ones who almost got wiped out. For starters, and also, what I've gathered is that they basically came in saying, hey, give us this land, because we want it. Otherwise, we'll go pour burning stuff all over your towns, and
Crusades was a religious
crusade
battle.
through your... Yeah, exactly, it's a religious battle. But it wasn't saying, hey, we try to convert you. No, it's just saying, get the hell out of here.
I don't...
This is our land.
I have to go look
For
at
some
the
reason or
history
other.
again. If you know anything about the Crusades, you can tell us, put in the comments
It was very...
what you remember about the Crusades and what
According to
historical...
John Green, and from what he's taught me, it was not exactly very interesting.
The Crusades?
Yeah.
Really?
Because
it
was
a prominent thing that's always taught in when
Oh,
I was
okay,
growing
well,
up,
it gets very, very boring from what I've seen. And it's also just kind of ridiculous. I mean, they spent so much money on putting a bunch of people in some random bits of metal and then sending it out on a ridiculous journey that had absolutely no meaning. And guess what? Every single one lost. In fact, one managed to barely not get completely dead. And they ended up getting into more trouble because they were basically borrowed a bunch of money from the Venetians and they couldn't pay it back because, the Crusaders can never pay anything back. They're basically completely in debt. Yeah, and probably still are. Well, I suspect they're dead. Oops.
I was thinking...
And don't go attacking some natives. It's probably a bad idea, especially if, you're just doing it for some random, ridiculous religious reason.
But you know what? I think racism has been going around even since humans
yes.
first started exploring the world. Very, very beginning of, even I bet even in the time of Neanderthals that there was racism.
Yeah, possibly some, but hello, most people have the Neanderthal DNA in them. You know why that happens? Hashtag interbreeding.
Yes, but my point to this was the fact that racism has been when you say historically seen, and I disagree with that because I personally think that if you think about any one, not necessarily country or a group of people who try to take over another group of people who try to gain territory, I bet anything during each one of those times there was a considerable amount of even slavery, because they had slaves of the people that they would countries that would take over, or the groups that they would take over, they would tend to make the other group their slaves.
Yeah.
And so I think racism has been a part of human nature from the very beginning.
Okay, but it's not like needed. I mean, it's not like it's completely genetically inbound. It was learned, obviously.
I see what you're saying.
It's not like it's genetically something that people can't help.
Right.
People can help to drink alcohol or to smoke cigarettes. They can also help to not be racist or be mean towards people who aren't quote-unquote normal, or whatever they think normal is.
Or the people that they want to have lesser power than them.
Yeah. It's not like it's inbred for any of that to happen.
It's just in
I mean, the idea of being in control, sure, yeah, but that stems from the ancient problem of, if I'm not in control, the tiger's gonna eat me.
So that part is inbred.
Yeah, okay, but along with the advent of, self-control and the ability to not pee on fires, or to barbecue, supposedly,
Mm-hmm.
And self-will, um, and, conscious logical thinking, well, people can supposedly suppress those natural desires for control once they logically know that they are in at least an amount of control they need to be.
Well, I'm going to use our own specific example as an example of that's not true. So when Daddy felt like he was losing control of the situation, he became very mean.
Yeah.
During that time. And his brain, his whole world was falling apart. He lost his job. He was losing his family because his choice. But
yeah, his choice would be right.
But every decision he was making was just putting his life more and more and more and more out of control.
Yeah, and your point?
That we know how to. We have that. Your point was that okay, we have the ability to control peeing and all that stuff, so therefore we have the ability to control being in power or not being in power.
Or not necessarily, but the desire for power. We have the ability to control our desire for power, and the ability to stop attacking the person or the tiger once it's knocked out already.
And my argument is that I don't know if we necessarily do have the ability to get rid of the desire for control.
No, not necessarily get rid of it, but control the desire for control.
To control the desire for control.
Yeah. It's not a trick question. It's not a question at all.
And you know what? Okay, alright. Yeah, I guess I could see what you're saying in that we do that in order to be polite to people.
People surrender. That's how when people surrender, they're controlling their desire to be in control.
Right. Yes.
Okay, they're possibly also making a plan of overthrowing the attacker once they surrender, but
in a way, I suppose when you're being polite and kind to somebody who's a bully, you are also doing that too.
Right. You're recognizing that a more logical, probably better choice would be to do something else.
But the reason why I question it a little bit is that even that being nice and surrendering and all that stuff, to me, might not necessarily be 100% about controlling when to be in control, because it could just be a tactical thing.
Yeah, it can be. It's just a tactical thing. I agree.
But
the idea of being peaceful when someone's attacking you, and not trying to attack back.
Well, yeah, but in a way that gives you the upper hand. It puts you back in control. By you being nice to the person who is being mean, you actually... Maybe
that is a side effect, and maybe it is an intended side effect. But still...
Can you sit up, please?
There is, humans have, and, well, to be fair, technically, most animals that, that have any psychological ability do have the ability to have self-will, self-control, and enough self-control, and will enough to stop from doing their quote-unquote stereotypical animal desires.
Right. And your request to all human beings is to get beyond our mammalian instincts and to get to our ability to control ourselves in emotional states.
Yeah, and use that ability for good purpose, not for bad purpose.
Okay,
or for evil, or I guess that's.
Can I make the same request to you when you are upset with the computer or technology that you not slam the keyboard and
I try not to.
Right. And not yell at the computer going, behave! And you...
well, I can still yell at myself, and as if I'm yelling at the computer saying, grrr, annoying computer.
So you can yell at yourself to say, have patience, have patience, have patience. I do agree with you a little bit that helping learn about body awareness helps a lot with that. So the other day when I was really upset with you, I was really worried about coming in and telling you that I was upset with you because I thought I would go into a flying, yelling.
Right.
I was worried that I was going to be out of control and just yelling, 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 and mean and mean and mean and I found even though I went to talk to you sooner than I was ready, what I did to be able to instead of and I worked concentrating that when I went in there, I told myself, okay, I'm not going. I know that I wanted to talk to you because I knew you were upset and I wanted to help calm you down, but and I was upset and I wanted some help calming down, but I realized that when I went in there, I was like, okay, I'm not going to try to control the situation. I'm going to spend every second just listening to my body as he talks. And by doing that, I was like, so every time I started to react, I didn't react, I just watched my body and then repositioned and kept repositioning my chest and my head alignment and my breath and paying just extreme attention to not necessarily even to my anger, but to my body alignment. And by doing so, I think I had one of the more calmer times of being upset with you. And I don't know if you noticed that particular time, I didn't even raise my voice at all during that time. Normally I raise my voice when I'm upset, but I don't know if you noticed that particular day that I had managed to not raise my voice at all. And if you had been looking at my body, you would have noticed that the entire time I was just constantly readjusting, to make sure that I did not lose sight of what was going on inside of me.
Yes, I did notice that.
And I think that's what I would like to teach other people. And I want to make sure that I started to practice this even when I'm on the computer and just all the time, just constantly checking in. And whoever's listening to these podcasts, I would like to make it so that whoever listens to us and that we create a digital product to help people change the habit of always constantly. And I think when you're always checking in with yourself, you're less likely to be racist, you're less likely to be stereotypical, you're less likely to be, you're more able to do what Eagle said that we can do, which is have control of the desire to be in control. So that instead of trying to control the situation or a person or the event or anything, you're just simply concentrating on controlling your own internal body. And by doing that, you actually end up
being in more control of yourself, yeah.
Right, and by having more control of yourself, in a way you have more control of the situation.
Yes.
I'm going to take a break for a second and point out there's a really cool bird. If we had a camera, I would try to...
It's just a blue jay.
Really? That little tiny thing?
It's a blue jay.
The little tiny one.
Right there?
Yeah.
Definitely a blue jay.
Really?
Yeah.
It's a really, really little blue jay.
She's hopping around because it's not a tiny blue jay.
Is it spring?
No. It's winter still. She's hopping around because she's wet. That's why she's hopping around.
Maybe it's maybe that's why she looks smaller. It just looks really small to me. She looks much smaller than a regular blue jay.
No, she's not small. She's the regular size of a regular blue jay.
Maybe it's just the
not
angle.
You're not calculating the distance correctly.
Maybe it's just the angle's up.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry for that distraction.
That's a blue jay.
That's good though. There was distraction because I was starting to go on a soapbox.
Soapbox?
Do you know what a soapbox is? Have you ever heard the term?
I think now I do.
Have you ever never heard the term?
I've heard the term soapbox. I never exactly knew quite what it meant. I had an idea of what it meant, but now I definitely have the idea confirmed.
What is the idea that you have? It's confirmed.
It basically when someone starts talking, and never stops talking.
So the term...
There was a scene in Robert A. Haaland's book, The Star Beast, where there's some random... Well, I'm going to call him an idiot because, you know,
right.
he's a racist. literally racist because racism
Right,
pertain
right.
star
Okay.
races.
Go ahead.
Basically, he wants to put in a petition for Lummox to be killed, the main character.
Okay, don't go into the details of the story because nobody
But
else has read the stories necessarily. So
he the person is in the courtroom, and the person in the court says, hey guard, can you go find him a soapbox so you can go outside and talk?
right, yes, so that's where you heard the term
Yes.
originally. Yes. So the
I don't want him talking here. Let's have him go outside.
right.
Yeah.
So the term originally came from back in the old days. Somebody would go and find soapboxes. I guess were easy to find apparently, and so
Nowadays, they're almost impossible to find. How do you find a soapbox?
I don't know. I don't
What
even
soap
know.
do you
I
have
don't
to
even
buy
know
to
what
find
they
a
were referring
soapbox?
to. But they basically you find a box or something, and I guess back then it was soapboxes, and you would go find a box and you would stand on top of it so that you could be seen better, so that you could be heard better, and you would
Yeah,
go
right.
on
And so
a
you-
tirade and have everybody listen to you about
Like
whatever
the
your tirade
bench.
is.
Or
Or
Central
just
Park.
a higher surface.
Yeah, those are a higher surface that you're more center of attention.
Right. And then you go on your little
Spiel.
yes.
Yeah.
Usually a tirade.
It's a tirade. Sounds like Darth Tyrannus.
It's an angry, or not necessarily an angry, a passionate. No,
So
tirade
tirade-
usually refers to a little more angry.
So it's kind of like a crusade, but it's
With a little bit more
speaking.
anger. Yeah, it's a little bit more negative.
So it's
nuance to it.
Tyranno, right?
A
So
tyrant.
tyrant, aid. And aid, I'm assuming something similar to crusade. So speak or something, or
I don't know. I thought aid would meant help, so I don't know. Oh, but it's ADE, so I don't know.
I don't know.
We'll have to go look at the Greek.
Tyro speak or something. Tyro something. Tyro crusade. I don't know.
If we forget to do
Tiger
this, somebody
crusade.
else look up the word ADE and tell us what it is, because I don't have a dictionary next to us right now.
Yeah.
The computer is on. I type it in and find out. What does aid mean? We love entomology stuff, so anytime in your comments,
foreign words and stuff. Yeah.
yeah, anytime in your comments you want to comment about entomologies of words, we would love it because it is just so fascinating to us. And we don't study it, but on the fly sometimes if we have the resources or the book or the magazine or not the computer or the dictionary, we'll look it up.
Actually, don't have stuff in them. And nowadays, dictionary books are kind of ridiculous. After all, everyone has a computer nowadays, right?
No, I still love.
Okay, I'm sure you do.
There's just some great feel about it.
Yeah, I know. It is some sort
Less
of feel about
ads.
right. That'd be for certain. Less ads.
Yeah.
You can pay
And
for
there's
that,
just
though,
something
technically.
great about picking up a book.
Wikipedia doesn't have ads.
The what?
Wikipedia doesn't have ads.
You're right, it's the only one.
They just ask for money.
Yeah.
For a small donation every now and then.
I prefer that. I really do.
Yeah, I
prefer-
think it's much better.
Yeah.
Especially since it doesn't take up all the RAM on your computer and doesn't slow down your browser.
Yeah.
Ads slow down your browser because they're taking up both network memory and memory to run the GIF if it's not something live.
Right.
Or the movie or whatever. Because usually ads are interactive in some way or another.
Yes.
So some sort of either flash or some sort of process that's running.
Yes.
Which slows your computer down. Yeah.
Yep. Time for body check-in. Giving a hug. Giving us a hug. Big hug to ourselves, to each other, and to the world. Big hug. May love exist. May we feel connected to it. Everybody just give themselves, wrap our arms around you. Feel loved. Do you feel loved, Eagle?
Yes.
Feel connected to that love inside of you. Letting love flow through you out to the world. We'll be mediums for love.
Meetings for love, sure.
You know that term? You ever heard that?
No.
Do you know what a medium is?
Yeah.
So mediums for love. So you let love through,
Right,
let
I
love,
guess,
emotion flow through you
Sure,
and out to
yes.
the world.
I've never heard the two terms connected.
Really?
No.
Yeah.
But I've heard the terms separately.
You
I
have
can
you
make
heard-
sense of them together.
Have you heard the term fountain of love?
No, I've heard the term fountain of immortality. Like, immortal lake or something. Whatever. But
Yes, I've heard that too. I think the cat thought we were about to get up to go feed her.
I probably should, though.
Yes, she has been waiting so patiently.
Yeah.
All right, everybody feel loved? Do you feel loved?
Yes.
You doing a body check-in? We do a big yawn. Everybody do a big yawn. Stretch your arms over your head.
Yeah.
Is it time to go get something to drink? Get something to eat?
Yes.
Do a wiggle. Let's do a wiggle. Wiggle your body, wiggle your spinal cord. All right. Good. Make sure you do that every 10 minutes. Sorry we didn't do more check-ins while we were talking. We get so passionate when we talk. And I hope you enjoyed us. And subscribe! If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And send some money to our Patreon link.
If you can, yeah.
If you can, because we really need your help. We always need your help. Even if we become millionaires, we're going to want your help. Because you know why? If we are millionaires and we can pay our bills, guess what we'll do with the money?
We'll help other people.
We'll help other people. So the money just keeps going forward and forward and forward. So make sure that you help us out so that we can help other people. All right. But first, we need to pay the bills. So
Yeah.
thank you for having listened. I'm excited that you listened all the way to the end. Please make sure you've done that buddy check-in. If you cheated and just sort of stared at the space while you were doing, then that's cheating. So do a body check-in. Then go to Patreon. Put another $10 in.
Patreon.com/KEE.
Yes, KEE.
Right
Just
link.
remember, KEE. We are the key, except with an E.
XD.
Yes, KEE. All right, and if you hate Patreon, then go to Maker Support, or go to on the Patreon link. You will find our PayPal link too. I think you can do repetitive. You can set it up to set money continuously on PayPal or something.
I don't know.
I don't know. I heard that.
I don't use PayPal. I don't use any money transferring service. Never.
Right, because yes, you just receive. Yes, so it goes.
I don't have to worry about any of that.
Not yet, but you know what? You should learn it because if anything
I know.
happens
I'd
to
like
me,
to.
you need
I'd
be able
like to.
access
I'd
it
like
all.
to be able to do PayPal, but unfortunately, I don't have a bank account yet because I don't have a bank account yet.
Right.
Once I get a bank account, then I can make a PayPal account.
Yes.
Yes.
And even if you don't use PayPal, you should have an account just because it is a way of people. It's just, I don't know. I think that you should always have ways to be able to give or have access to money just on a small scale. Just, anyways. All right, another topic, another time. Go get something to drink. Go get something to eat. Or, you know what will help me in this conversation if we do a couple ohms. So everybody, we're going to do a couple ohms. Oh, it's hard to do an ohm right now. Talk to you later, everyone. Good night.